everyone, Auntie Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Klinger, with you again today. Thanks for stopping by, and today I'm doing this funky art journal page using lots and lots of Art by Marlene goodies. So I'll take you through what I'm using. I'm using the Perfect Size Journal, and of course I can't do a page without the sticky glue. And then I have some paint colours. I just pulled out lots of my favourites, so Punk and Mermaid and Happy and Ballet and Royal and Lace, and I also use a black, and I reckon the Smurf I add in as well. Then I'm using the new Alpha die cuts, metal die cuts, and I didn't actually end up using those paper elements. I planned to, but it didn't kind of happen. So I'm actually going to use the artist sponges. Love these new sponges, and I'm going to show you a few different ways to use them today. And I'm going to use a bit of that leftover paper that I did my last page with, and I have just received so yesterday when I filmed this video I received the stencils, so I thought I'd take them for a spin. So I'm going to use that floral one, the Dotty one, and the other sort of textured shaped ones. So that's a bit exciting, getting to take the new stencils for a spin. Okay, so I've just popped some paint onto a palette, and then I'm just actually using one of the artist sponges just to spread the paint around. And I'm not being too particular when I change colours and stuff. This is just the first layer, so this is just a matter of getting the colour down and covering the page. So I do that, and then I dry it off. And now I've grabbed the new florally grid stencil, which I really love, and I'm just popping a little bit of the paint, just using my finger, onto the page, sort of next to a colour. So I'm using Mermaid at the moment, which is your aqua, and you can see I put it on a little bit of the aqua and then move it up. So then I put my stencil down, and then I rub over the top to remove it and just leave those gorgeous pattern. I'm actually using Royal, that deep purple, which looks great on the page, and I did that because I hadn't put any of it into the background, and I just felt like it needed a bit more of a deeper colour with all those beautiful bright colours. So I also did come in with a little bit of pink, as you can see, kind of joining up a couple of the pink patches, and that stencil is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So now I have got my sponge, and I've tipped it onto the edge so that there's a short edge and a wider edge, and I'm actually just used some white paint, and I'm just making marks with white paint, just using that end. And doesn't that look cool? You could also come in with black in between and do black and white stripes, which I love to do. But for this one, I just at this stage wanted to add some white into my page, which is something I always do when I'm working with bright colours. Always needs a few neutrals just to sort of calm it down a little. So then I have come in with that other new stencil, and this one is called Playful Textures, and I'm just focusing on those big large circles. I love adding sort of dots to my layouts, sort of large circles, and making them a bit scribbly. And so this is the perfect stencil for that. So I'm just moving it around so that the dots look like they're sort of naturally formed across the page. So I started with Mermaid, and then I felt like it needed a bit more depth. So I'm coming in with a bit of Smurf and Sky just to deepen that up a little bit. And now I use the other, so I'm using, there's 4 new stencils, and I am using 3 of them in this one. So now I'm using the smaller Dotty one, and I am adding the Royal, the deep purple, but I'm sponging over the top. So I'm again using that sponge in another way. So I have actually used it 3 different ways. I've used it as a mark making tool, I have used it to spread my paint around, and now I have used it to sponge over my stencils. So I did also come in with that white again, and just, I said I'd used the sort of smaller edge as a stamp. Well, this time I used the larger edge as a stamp, so I kind of made a square mark just gives a bit more interest to the background. So now I cut out these sort of half blooms that I really like, and I think I'll start playing around with those. Something I often do where I'm putting my focal point down is add a bit of white back into the page, just to give it a little bit of light behind it. Yeah, so I'm just coming in with some white paint and adding that on. I did a bit with a sponge, and then I just did a bit with a brush. And just to blend it in, I am using the stencil and just pulling a little bit off as well. Still adding a bit more. That's the beauty of acrylic paint. If you remove some, you can always add it back in. Or you can paint over it with something else if you change your mind. So now I come in again with the artist sponges, and I'm using the tip, that sort of the flatter, smaller edge, and I've grabbed some of the punk paint, which is like a fluoro purple, and it just sits really nicely on the surface, and I'm just bouncing that randomly through my page just to give another sort of mark making, bit more texture. So now I glue down those flowers, and I give them a quick dry, and then I thought I was coming in. I come in with a black paint pen, so I start with a thicker one, and I just need to add in those stems. So there was only a small amount of stems on one, and the other one had no stems. So that's easy. I can draw those in. So I'm just duplicating what Marlene has done. So she's got little red hearts for the leaves. And so I'm using a little bit of red. I think I do mix it with a little bit of purple as well, just trying to emulate what is there. And I just simply draw them in, and once that paint dries, I will go around them again. So I did add a little bit more paint to some of those circles just to deepen them up a little bit. And then now I'm going around the edge with that paint pen and highlighting them. So now I'm going around the edges, and you'll see it start to come together and look like sort of the top bit that Marlene has actually done. Maybe my paint's not quite dry there. So I decided to come in and add some texture and some more black. So I've got quite a bit of bold black in the foreground, and I just feel like I need a little bit of black in the background. So I'm using that awesome one-way ticket stamp and some archival ink. And I use, there's a gorgeous little barcode in there, so I use that around the edges, and then I also use one of the ticket stamps, and I stamp it quite randomly. So I've got some bits where the numbers are just hanging over the edge, and some bits where you can see more of the ticket. And then I also get out those little cluster of crosses, and I stamp those into the background as well. So now I've grabbed a fine paint pen. So I used a thick one, so this is a thin one, and I'm just scribbling around the edges of those circles. I just think this really helps, having that thick line and that thin line, for it to look like it belongs and hasn't just sort of been plonked there. So I'm going around a few of the edges of the flowers where I may have cut the black off, and just adding a few little details here and there. And then I add a little bit of that punk to the centre of the circles as well, because I just really like it to be a bit tonal, not to be just a flat colour. So I have actually come back the next day because the sun was coming in. It's winter here and the sun is just beautiful, but it's not great for videoing. So I realised that it was coming across my page, so I stopped, and I've come back today with some fresh eyes. And the first thing I did was I felt like it was way too patternedy in the background. So I just wanted to get rid of a little bit of that, push it back a little bit. So to do that, I grabbed some of the Smurf and I just blended some into patches with my finger. I mainly went over the pink, which gives a gorgeous colouring, and it just tidies it all up a little bit. And because I had Smurf in my circles, I wanted to bring a little bit into the background as well. Okay, so then I decided I wanted to add more black. So I think I was saying that I've got those strong black stems and parts of the flowers, but I still felt like it was quite busy. And so a great way to tone down really busy backgrounds is to come in with neutrals. And in this case, I came in with the black paint. So I ran my finger around the edge, and then I added a few little blobs here and there, and then I have removed some with a wet baby wipe through a stencil to give that gorgeous new stencil, that floral, what's it called, flower, I'll just have a look at what it's called. It is called Flower Tile. I'm just loving how that looks. I can tell I'm going to be using that a lot. So then I came in with I cut out using the metal die cuts, the alphabet cuts. I cut out art with black paper, and I adhered that to that little spot there. So I did add a little bit of white paint behind it just so it was easier to read. And then I glued down the art and finished off the quote by just writing that in by hand. And then what I am doing is just adding a little bit of shadow work to my page. So with that, I have grabbed a black Stabilo All pencil, and I'm just kind of going around. I'm imagining the light is coming down from the top of the page, and so I'm putting shadows underneath the flowers and on the underside of the circles, and hopefully this makes them look like they're sitting up on top of the page, and it pushes that background back a bit. So now I add a few dots to the flowers, and then I went a bit crazy and added a few dots to the art, which I felt like it got lost. So I do come in and go around the edge of that with black pen just to make it stand out that little bit more. I'll just let you know what the quote says. It says, "Art heals the mind, the body, and the soul." So I really love those alpha stamps, die cuts, and I think they're going to be really useful with pages. So I'll leave you with some close-ups. As you can see, I needed to push some of that background back. It was gorgeous, but it was really busy. So I think this helps the flowers stand out now. So as always, thanks for being here, and I'd love you to leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Bye for now.